Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, and we're coming to you from the elegant Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island. And we're here because the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce has their annual policy conference here. And JD Collins joins us right now, head of SBDC, and it's good to have you here, buddy.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
And it's a perfect spot for you, right? Because you got to advocate for what you do. You got to make sure you're in budgets. And then you got to kind of proliferate your story.
You nailed it. It is the perfect place for the SBDC because we're this blend between helping out the entrepreneurs and small businesses as we do every day, but we're also supported by the state and federal government. And so having all of these people in the same place is really a gift to be able to speak with each one of them every day.
You know, it's kind of interesting because I always make a joke that when we look at what are the biggest fences that small business has to jump over, one is always regulation.
Mm-hmm.
And navigating that is getting more difficult every year.
Mm-hmm.
And tell people about the SBDC and how they can come in and get that navigation, and in most cases, free of charge.
Yeah. So I think you bring up a great point. All of our services are free to the consumer. So think about it. A small business entrepreneur comes to us. We're never going to charge them for our services. We're able to do that because we are funded by the state, the feds, and our university hosts. You talked about regulation, and this is where we come into play because we are experts in this space. We can help entrepreneurs and small businesses navigate those, we'll call those waters. But on the flip side of that, we're also advocating for entrepreneurs and small businesses through a coalition of micro businesses. And this coalition is really looking at, affecting policy to make it easier to start and grow your business in Michigan as well.
Right. Which used to be a pretty high bar and seems to be getting a little easier. But it's nice to have someone. It's nice to have a tour guide, I guess, is the way to put it.
That's a really good way to put it. We have a number of consultants. We have about 100 consultants throughout the state. So whatever county you're in, we're there to help. But these are experts who have all done it before. And I'd like to say it this way. We typically have someone who can help your small business get started. But if we aren't the right team for you, we have relationships with others within the network that will be able to help you.
Yeah. This volunteer situation and the experts that come in, this is a crucial piece because these are people that live in the community in which these entrepreneurs are, in many cases, people who have entrepreneurial aspirations.
You bet.
When they come in.
You bet. And so the SBDC model, I'd like to consider it a best practice here in Michigan. We employ our consultants in the communities that they serve, and so they're distributed throughout the state. And so we really feel like having that local flair and that local knowledge is key. Certain communities value, the community in which you live, and we want to make sure that we support those entrepreneurs the way they want to be supported.
JD, when they come in your office and they're looking for they got an idea, right, about running a business, and they've got this great product that everybody's going to knock down the door for. What is their aha moment? I mean, I look back on when I started, kind of stepped off the end of the dock, and I'm like, ooh, hey, I wish I'd have known that.
Right. Yeah. So that you ask a really good question because inevitably most entrepreneurs believe that they need financial support. They need capital in order to start. And when we ask the question about, do you have a business plan? Do you have a growth plan? What is your loan plan? That's typically where we start. Yeah. And so that's the start line before we go and ask for capital. And we help those entrepreneurs become loan ready. And so that they have a solid understanding of what their business financials are going to look like and what their plan is to grow once they start.
That's so funny you say that because there was a time when the biggest issue for business was a lack of capital. Mm-hmm. And I can remember saying to some people that I consulted, I don't think I'd loan you money. So don't feel bad about your rejection at the bank, but it's because they're not prepped.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So there's another component to what we do every day, and that is holding the entrepreneur accountable. Mm-hmm. A lot of times this is an entrepreneur's first venture outside of a corporate environment where they had maybe a boss holding them accountable. Now that they're out on their own, they really need kind of a buddy in the process. And a lot of times we're just there for emotional support, holding them accountable and helping them meet their deadlines.
Well, I've always said every business needs a mother. And that's just about it. It's like, well, what did you do today? We told you what you were supposed to do. Did you get it done? And That's what a lot of businesses fail on, you know? So how many offices throughout the state do you have?
So we have 10 main offices throughout the state. That helps us cover the regions. So if you know the regions of prosperity, we're in all of the 10 regions of prosperity, but we're aligned in each one of those regions to a university or host institution. And so in the Upper Peninsula, it's MTU. Down in the Detroit area, it's EMU. On the west side of the state, it's GVSU, and that's where we also have our corporate offices, and then more universities to support.
You know,
the
it's
rest of the state.
interesting. EMU is the first one that I came in contact. That's
Oh, no
when I
kidding.
first learned about your organization. Charlie, I'm trying to remember his name, who ran it down there.
So it might have been Charlie Penner,
Who was Charlie Penner?
Charlie Penner with he was also with the Washtenaw team as well, and
Right.
so out of Washtenaw Community College, we have another support team out of there.
Yeah, it was it's an interesting thing, and remember, this is really crucial. The other thing you'll get is if you have an idea for a business and you walk in, and it's a bad idea, it's best to know about that.
Mm-hmm. There's a flip side to this too, is we help entrepreneurs unwind gracefully out of their business if they need to.
Yeah.
Because what we understand is a lot of entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs, and if we help them unwind gracefully, it makes them stronger to come back for their next idea. And so,
well, and they don't affect other people negatively. I mean, if you go out and you hire a bunch of people to a failing business, that's got real bad ramifications.
You got it.
JD, thanks for joining us. JD Collins is the head of the SBDC for the state of Michigan. And we are coming to you from the Grand Hotel, where the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce has its annual policy conference. I'm Chris Holman, and you're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network.